My name is Chi Yin. I'm a photographer based in Beijing, originally from Singapore. So this series was a project that I did called The Rat Tribe. It's essentially about environmental portraits of migrant workers who live in basements in Beijing because it's the only form of housing that they can afford. So this started in 2010 when I read in the local press that they were called rats, and I thought that was a very negative, unwarranted label. And I decided to go and make portraits of them. So I went knocking on doors in the basements beneath Beijing's skyscrapers, hotels, offices, apartment blocks, some very high-end, and I was interested in the relationship between the people who live above ground and the people who live underground. So I ended up documenting this over 5 years, and I photographed about 50 migrant workers and their families in their rooms. And the way I did it was very straightforward. It's environmental portraits of them in their rooms, but oftentimes I tried to portray them with a sense of dignity, and I also tried to capture what the rooms were like. And quite often their rooms were done up as a home with a lot of pride, because after all, it is their home in the capital city. Some people live in these basements for a very short time. The population tends to be very transitory and temporary, so whenever they have more money, they move upstairs, which is good because it's like socially upwardly mobile. But so quite often those people who live for longer know one another, and then they would have dinners together and they would hang out. But remember that these people are service staff, so they often work shifts, and they often work very different shifts, and they come home and they close the door, and they may not know who's living next door. And these people come from all over China, so they speak a different dialect, or they speak Mandarin with a different accent. So it's not always so easy to get along with one another. Yeah. But there are also similarly basements where people from one particular province have kind of taken over. So then there's a lot of interaction there. And oftentimes they're relatives.